So I was whining to my wife the other day, said, I need new glasses. And she said, well, get some. I couldn't tighten them anymore. They were scratched. You know the thing, right? But I didn't want to go through the process because you have to make the appointment. You have to spend weeks to get them done. And you got to pay a fortune, right? That's real. But I did. I spent $500 on frames and glasses, and that was cheap. And then I ordered a pair from my sponsor, Zenni Optical, for $70. Zenni is an online eyewear shop. Prescription glasses, sunglasses, blue light lenses, starting at under $30. You go to Zenni.com, you pick a frame, upload your prescription, and they ship it to your door. No appointment, no store, no upsell at the counter. And by the way, if you are saying, do I really need new glasses, or do I have to put up with one pair to do everything I need to do for the next 2 years? No! You can get what you want starting at under $30. And if you've never bought glasses online, don't worry about it. I haven't either. Zenni has a virtual try-on, so you can see exactly how the frame looks before you commit to buying them, with no salesman looking at you saying, those look good, but these expensive ones would look better. No, you don't get that. I'm excited. I can't wait to get my Zenni glasses and tell you more about them. If your glasses are overdue for a refresh, now's the time. Go to Zenni.com/podcast and use the code podcast15 for 15% off your first order. The styles sell out, so don't sit on it. That's Zenni.com/podcast. Promo code podcast15. You might have heard that live shopping is exploding, and I have to tell you, I have been on Whatnot for a couple of weeks now, and I see why it is. Now, Whatnot is my sponsor, and they are the reason I got on the platform and checked it out. I'm glad they did. They made it easy for me. I'm going to make it easy for you. I love it. Whatnot is where you get great products without paying full price. It's that simple. I'm hooked on their live shows, too. You got to see them. They're so much fun. And I see why Whatnot has climbed to the top of the App Store. And listen, if you're selling online, or maybe you have a storefront and you're hoping people will find your listing or maybe walk in your store, Whatnot flips that, because on Whatnot, you go live and you sell directly to people in real time. And I may admit, although you didn't hear from me, I may have picked up a couple of power tools or so in the past couple of days. I'm just saying. Whatnot, it's the largest dedicated live shopping platform with beauty, collectibles, electronics, luxury, fashion, even cookies, and anyone can sell. In fact, people who sell on Whatnot sell 10 times as much as any other major marketplace. That's because you're not just listing products, you're building real connections with buyers. So whether you're shopping or you're selling, download the Whatnot app today and get free shipping on your first order. Just search WHATNOT, Whatnot, in the App Store and start scoring amazing deals. How are you? Happy Friday. Get on in here. We got stuff to do today because we're going to talk about our crazy thoughts inside our head. The brain. The brain is so exciting. The mind is so exciting. We know so much about it these days. So much technology has come into play really recently over the past just couple of years, in some cases, couple of weeks, that we now know more about how we think than ever before. So we'll talk about a really big problem. And the problem is typically how people get focused and come up with good ideas. People get confused. They're trying to focus it. They can't figure out what to focus on, right? So if you had trouble with that, I'm going to explain a very simple way to do it today. And it's a natural way. You're going to do it naturally. Nothing for you to really work on. Just know about it and you'll be fine, okay? It is a Daily Boost. It's me, Scott Smith. Good to have you here today. It's been so fun. I have taken to a different way of recording my podcast. I mentioned a little bit about this week, but I used to record them once a week and I would stop in and do them. And sometimes I would do them every single day, but it was always a bit of an attached way of doing things. So the way I'm doing it these days, and let me know if it's working for you, is I get off a coaching call or I get off a group call. I do many calls a week with my Face Your Passion group, and I'll get off a call with them that's usually an hour and 15 minutes of just really good stuff. Just so much power in a group. It's amazing what happens. I get off the call, I get a drink of water, I open up the thing, I hit the record button thing, and I do the show. I'm essentially coming right out of a coaching session to you. I'm trying to bring that energy to you, and I think it's working out pretty well. So today, we were talking about focus and how people get focused. And one of the gentlemen on the call, excuse me a second here. There you go. Mute button works really well. One of the gentlemen on the call was talking about how he just can't get focused. He needed to find more time to think. Now, I hear this a lot. People say, I need more thinking time. Now, I also know when one person says that what ends up happening is everybody else on the call over the next week or two will say, yeah, I need to find some more thinking time. And that's what a group is for. That's why I love groups. Are so powerful. There's a really cool place for one-on-one. I do a ton of one-on-one coaching. There's a place for it. But man, a little combination of one-on-one and a group, put that together, you got magic, man. So anyways, talking about that, not being able to focus properly and to find the time to focus. And so we got into a conversation about how the brain actually works and where the focus comes from. So that's what you can learn today. You can learn where you actually need to be to get some great ideas. And here's where I start with focus. You've been told you need to focus. So let me give you basic thoughts about focus. Focus is just as it feels. It's almost like it's in the middle of your forehead, staring down at a paper in front of you or a computer in front of you. It's focused on what you're doing. Some people call it deep work. Deep work is focus for sure. Most people can deep work between 30 minutes and 2 hours. That's about it. Basically, what we're doing is we're taking the executive center of the brain, the prefrontal cortex. This is the short-term operation of our brain, the decision-making part of our brain. And we're just focusing it in one place for a short period of time. Now, if you've ever done it before, you'll find that it kind of runs out of energy. It runs out of steam. It can be recharged. You get up, take a break, walk around the house a little bit, take a walk down the hallway, get a cup of coffee, stretch, and it perks up again. But you can't stay there all the time, and nor do you want to, because that's not where the power is. So the way you use focus is when you're ready to focus, you sit down and focus. Let me explain that. When you know what you're going to be doing, when you know what you need to accomplish in that time period, you're going to go do it then. A lot of times I get people that need great ideas. I work with a lot of content creators, a lot of business owners, people like that, and they need more ideas. I'm a content machine. I generate stuff nonstop because of the way I've learned to do this over time, to use what I'm just about ready to tell you to do. And so what happens is they sit down, I got some time focused. I'm going to go figure out my business, figure out my idea, figure out my whole life. Now I'm going to focus on all this stuff. In other words, I'm just going to take a random bunch of stuff and see if I can focus it in one direction. That's not going to work. So focus works best when you sit down and focus on it. Your brain can focus on one thing at a time. It can kind of juggle 3 or 4 at a time, but it juggles them. There's only one in the hand at a time. That's your focus. So if you're trying to do 10 things, it's just not going to work. So focus is when you have something in your hand you want to focus on and deal with it. Hang on. I got to focus. I'll talk to you in a second. You finish whatever you're doing. That happens to me all the time. Honey, hang on, wait a second. Let me finish a sentence and then we can talk, right? Same thing. So where do the best ideas come from? I learned this years ago when I worked in radio. I started in radio way back when I was 18 years old. It was going to be my forever career. I turned into podcasting, 20 years ago, and turns out all the radio guys are going to podcasting now. So I guess it's still radio, sort of. But I did morning shows, and that meant I had to get up in the morning, and I'd be out of bed at 3:30 or 4, and I had to be funny. I had to be informative. I had to basically sound like I was the mayor of the community. I knew what was going on, and yet I was getting up at 3:30 in the morning. I was taking a nap in the afternoon. I was not going out at night. I was in bed at 7:30 or 8. I had no idea what was going on with life. So what I learned to do was to pay attention, to observe, to pick up little bits and pieces along the way and just let my brain go with the flow. That was it. And the next day, when it was time to do the show, I would sit down and take all those little ideas I had picked up with the flow and focus on them and turn them into something. I've done that with this entire podcast I've produced about 14,000 podcasts now. I've done 5,100 and some of this show itself. Every single one of them has been generated by just going with the flow, observing and picking up ideas. So what am I doing when I'm there? What is actually happening when we're going with the flow and we're just picking up ideas? We are in what they call, the scientist, the default brain network. That's where we are.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Focus is when you're using a very small part of your brain, just the frontal cortex, prefrontal cortex, right? You're using about 10% of your brain, they say. I'm not a neuroscientist. Give what's the guy's name? Andrew? Yeah, give him a ring. He'll tell you. He'll tell you that I'm not one, for sure. It's a very small part of your brain. That's what you're using. When you shift to the default mode network, I guess they call it default brain network, what's going to happen is you're using the rest of your brain, and it's automatic. When you are not focusing, you're in the default network. Does that make sense? Did you get that? When you're not focusing on something, when you're using a small part of your brain, you are now in the default. So you don't have to work to go there. You would naturally go there. It's what happens when you're driving down the road or sitting on the beach and just kind of ideas pop into your head. You're taking a shower, you're making dinner, you're not paying much attention, and stuff is just happening. And that's why the good ideas come outside of focused areas. So I tell you this, You don't have to work to get there because you naturally go there. But some people think, I need to focus. Everybody tells you, I'm going to meditate so I can quiet my brain. Then I can focus. No, you're all focusing on trying to quiet your brain. Your brain doesn't want to be quiet. Its job is to gather information, use it in short term, and then put it back in long-term memory. And once it gets in long-term, its job is to assemble repeatable patterns. These are called habits. So as you go through your day, your brain has put together these repeatable patterns. It's assembled them into little things that you can use randomly, just like that, whenever you need them. And your brain doesn't have to work at it. There's no focus. There's no nothing. It just happens. That's why habits are so hard to break, because your brain's doing that. Now, behind the scenes, what's going on is this. When you are in a default network mode, your brain is literally making connections and trying to figure stuff out. It's taking all this memory that you have back there and trying to make a connection with something. When I do my coaching calls, you'll watch me kind of tilt my head and think. I'm in default mode. I'm not trying to focus at all. I'm literally trying to take in whatever's been given to me and make sense of it. This is where the ideas come from. So if you want to really get creative, if you want to solve a problem, here's my big suggestion. That you go to default mode. That you allow your brain to relax a little bit. That you maybe preload it and say, this is kind of what I want to be thinking about. And just say, hey, brain, listen, when you got some time, we're working on these things. And then just go out and do what you do. And watch what happens. You're going to notice things that are going to pop up and it's going to make sense to you. And little by little, your brain's going to put pieces together and magic's going to happen. You're going to get creative, have great business ideas, figure out how to balance your checkbook, whatever it is, you're going to do all that stuff very quickly. Now, there is one thing I have to add on to this, and I don't want to go too long today, but I want to add on to this. Once we get all those ideas together, then we're going to sit down and focus. So when I walk into my desk and I want to get stuff done, when I want to do a podcast, I have collected all these ideas. I'm going to sit now and now I'm going to focus them in one direction and get them done for you and then be done and go right back to default mode. That's what I'm going to do. But the trick in making this happen is to capture the ideas while in default mode. Most people overcomplicate this. They write a big note down. They open up their journal. They write it all down. It's fine, I guess, but you've broken yourself out of a default into focus mode now. You've ruined the moment. So what I do is this. When I'm in default mode, just kind of, because I'm thinking, and an idea pops into my head, I pull up my phone. I use Todoist for my to-do stuff. And I hit the button and I type in whatever idea came to my brain and I hit send. I don't edit. I don't think about it. I don't do anything. It just goes away. And I will put it in a file called ideas. I know it's really stupid simple, right? I capture the idea. That's all there is to it. So when I want to sit down and record a podcast or do a coaching call or make a product, whatever I want to do, I go to my little idea file and I look through it and I go, that was a pretty good idea. About 80% are not, they stink. And I grab those, I take the ones I want and I move them over to another project. And I begin to work in focus mode on developing the project. When I get stuck, when I can't move forward again, what do? I go to default mode, which amazingly seems to happen a lot on my motorcycle. I talked to a client this morning. He said, man, not me, man. When I'm on my motorcycle, I'm trying to clear my head. I'm focused on clearing my head. I said, well, that sucks. You should be focused on anything on your motorcycle except staying safe. You should get on the bike, get a little wind therapy, let the wind coming out of your helmet just kind of blow you around a little bit and just relax. And when you relax, you're going to start getting incredible ideas and just remember them and pull over occasionally and write them down and watch what happens when you get back to the office. All right. Makes sense. So there's a lot of science behind how this works. Most people who have done the kind of work that I've done forever just kind of figured it out along the way, and you have too. But now we have science that tells us why it works, so you make a concentrated effort to break free and have that time when you just kind of let it flow. This is a lot, by the way, it's called flow state in many ways, when things are just flowing naturally for you. You can use that for work as well, for focused work. If you just relax a little bit, gather your ideas, and get yourself into a flow state and get focused, you will be very, very surprised by what happens. Are there some other steps? Yeah, there are, but not today. We don't have time anymore, okay? We'll do it again maybe next week. How's that? You want that perfect week planner? Just Instagram at Face Your Passion. DM me the word planner or go to perfectweekplanner.com. It's there. Have a great weekend. I'm going to get some default time this weekend. Just kind of chill, okay? And let your brain do its thing. Watch what happens when you show up at work on Monday morning. You'll be ready to go, okay? Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday.